Hi, I'm Dr. Stephen Collins from Trinity Southwest University and director of the Tall el Hammam excavation project here in Jordan. Tall el Hammam is likely the site of Biblical Sodom that everyone's so familiar with. Right now I'm located on the part of Hamam that we call the Upper Tell, and the Upper Tell is the site of what appears to be a massive palace which has the best view from anywhere on the Tell. It views the valley. It has a complete panoramic command of all that the king of this city would have ruled over. And this is the terminal phase. What we call the Red Palace is the terminal Middle Bronze Age layer of Tall el Hammam, which was destroyed during the time of Abraham and Lot. If you put two and two together, that would mean that this is likely the palace of King Bera of the city of Sodom from the story of Abraham. Working backwards through our occupational strata from the top, we have up here these smaller stones which date from the Roman period. Below it we have a building, a fortress, small fortress, which dates to the Hellenistic period, and below that we have an Iron Age building. But even below the Iron Age building, spreading all through this area, we have this reddish mud brick structure with very large walls, very thick, some 1 meter, 2 meters thick. You can see some of the remnants of those mud bricks here, and in the background over to my right you can see actually some of the plaster on the mud bricks. This structure dates to the latter part of the Middle Bronze Age, to the time of Abraham and Lot, to the time of King Bera of Sodom in Genesis chapter 14. So this is all very exciting, and to actually be standing in a location, in a place that is referred to, or at least inferred from the scriptures, as the location, the house, the palace of a king mentioned in the Bible, is pretty exciting. From this point here on the top of Tall el Hammam in the red Middle Bronze Age palace, off to my right to the south we can see Tall el, another Bronze Age city, only 2.5 kilometers away. Then we can see Tel Mwais, we can see Tel Rama off to my right, again 2.5 kilometers away. Coming around there's another unnamed site, then Tel Kafrine right to my right. Then behind me we have Tel Tahuna and Tel Barakat, and then coming on around to the southeast corner of our own site here at Tall el Hammam, just about 1/4 kilometer away from the base of the Tell, is another small Bronze Age city. In other words, we are completely surrounded with satellite towns, villages, and hamlets, forming what has to be one of the largest, most powerful city-states in the southern Levant during the Bronze Age. The population of the area would probably range somewhere between 60 and 80,000 people in the entire region of the southern Jordan Valley under the influence of Tall el Hammam. The city itself probably had an occupation population in the Bronze Age somewhere around 15 to 20,000 people associated with the city of Tall el Hammam itself. Tall el Hammam occupies a footprint of about 60 hectares, say within its shadow. Inside the city walls proper, it is about 30 to 36 hectares, depending upon which period. So the size of the city is on the upper end, on the upper scale of large Middle Bronze Age sites in the region, making it one of the largest, if not the largest, Bronze Age city in the southern Levant. We know that the site of Tall el Hammam, of course, is mentioned in the Bible, I believe, as Biblical Sodom. However, the site is mentioned in Egyptian literature. The Egyptian map lists of the 18th dynasty bring us up from Egypt to the south end of the Dead Sea, mention cities like Dibon along the King's Highway, drop us down to 2 sites before you cross the Jordan River. That road in the Egyptian lists comes down to a place called Iktanu, which is Tal Iktanu, just to the south, and then it comes to a place called Abel. This site has been identified by most scholars as the location called Abel, which means the place of mourning. Now, Abel is also mentioned in the Bible. So Abel appears in the Egyptian records, but it also appears in two prominent biblical stories. One, the story of Joseph bringing Jacob's body back to the promised land in order to be buried. And in that story, it says they came to a place called Abel of the Egyptians. Then in the story of Moses and Joshua, it says that when the Israelites had come up along the King's Highway and come down to this area called the Plains of Moab, opposite Jericho, that they camped at a location called Shittim, or Abel Shittim. Now, most scholars, again, had already identified Tall el Hammam as Abel of the Egyptians, Abel Shittim at the time of Moses, and the Abel mentioned in the Egyptian records. Now, how far back we can go in the Egyptian records or other regional records, say Mesopotamian records or Egyptian records or even Hittite records, we don't know. We're still in the process of researching the identification of this particular city in the Middle Bronze Age in those large empires that surround us. I'm standing in one of the rooms of the Red Palace that we believe is the Palace of King Bera. In this particular location, we have the walls, the mud brick walls, standing up here quite tall, much taller than I can reach. And being in this place is very special because if this is Biblical Sodom, then this is the palace of King Bera. And here you have the plaster on the walls of the palace. Now, I don't know what room this would be in the palace, but it would be a room certainly that King Bera and his family would have come through many times. But here you can see the plaster. Whoops. Here you can see plaster. You can see mud bricks. This is the plaster on the mud bricks. Here's more plaster. And all of this, and you can see these large, thick mud bricks, all of this is part of the typical construction process of the Middle Bronze Age, using stone foundations and mud bricks on top. But it's a very special place. How many places can you go that you can say a biblical character actually lived and worked in this place? That's very exciting.
So who's living in King Bera's palace now?